We can start now.
Yeah, very good afternoon, everyone. This is Divakar Yadav from HDFC Securities, Product Manager for Mutual Fund and SIF. And first of all, I would like to thank all the participants for taking out the time and joining the webinar on SEF. So basically, this webinar is all about SEF to make you understand what exactly the product is. This product was launched last year in the month of April, and this, what we can say is, it is like bridging the gap between mutual fund and AIF PMS. So this is one of the product wherein different strategies can be used, and the minimum amount in this product is 10 lakh rupees, by which we can start. There are seven strategies. So this is one of the newest product in investment avenue, what we can say. Basically, there would be many questions which are there in customers' mind, like what the product is, what all the categories are there, and what is the minimum investment amount, how can we invest. So all those questions will be like, we'll try to cover all those questions which would be there. And to discuss that, today we have Mr. Manan with us from ICICI AMC. Mr. Manan is CA, CFA, and he has done his postgraduate program in management from ISB. Mr. Manan joined ICICI Asset Management Company in 2019. He has around 12 years of experience, and he has been managing an equity mutual fund scheme that has derivative exposure. Prior to that, he worked most of his experience is with ICICI Group companies only. And today he'll help us to understand what exactly the SIF is. So welcome, Manan. Over to you.
Hi, thanks for the uh, generous introduction. Uh, Let me just take you all through what we are launching. We are basically launching two products in the specialized investment fund space. One is an X Top 100 Long Short Fund. This is our answer to um, uh, running small and mid caps in our way. We are making it a fill it, shut it, forget it, all seasons investment fund for all of your mid and small cap requirements. The other fund that we have is a classic hybrid fund. It's a hybrid long short fund. There are total of seven specialized investment funds that we are allowed to launch, of which we are launching two as of now, because we find very compelling propositions that we can offer to our clients from these two at this stage. First, I'll introduce the X Top 100 Fund, where Mr. Naren, who's our CIO, is himself the lead fund manager. And Divya and I are going to assist him in the process. Uh, what we saw was Naren has been giving excellent calls on small and mid caps and on the market in general. And usually what happens is gets appreciated only with a lag. So time and again we have given cautionary calls to the market on the small and mid cap space. After 2020 COVID, when around March 2020, we gave an extremely bullish call as well. The problem is there is a very very natural behavioral mindset that comes in the way of investing in small and mid caps to maximize your return potential and stay across a cycle in this segment. So what we are doing here is using this long short fund to make a very aggressive allocation decision for you. So even if you come in at the wrong time when the markets are looking extremely overheated, there is a model that will guide us to either be fully invested in small and mid caps. At the other end, if the model sees that the market is extremely overheated and we are seeing some trouble that will brew, and which is what we have been guiding around 18 months back. And again, we never got appreciated for it at that time, but now people are appreciating the calls that we gave at that time. What we are seeing, if things would be very overheated, then my model would be at one end 0% invested in small mid caps, and I can hold almost 90% in cash. So that is the kind of aggressive allocation that I'm able to do using this specialized investment fund vehicle. So let me just talk to you what exactly is a specialized investment fund. ये हमें क्या है कि हमारे जो सीईओ हैं वो हमें हमेशा कहते हैं म्यूचुअल फंड जब तुम चलाते हो यू आर अ पब्लिक सर्वेंट, आपने फंड चलानी है which caters to also a retired school teacher in Guwahati or a rickshaw wala in Silchar, all the way up to anybody who can invest any amount in the mutual fund space. At the other end, a PMS product requires higher ticket size. It's much higher risk and much higher return profile at that point, and there's fair bit of volatility that you have to take in the process. So if you look at a PMS or an AIF vehicle, in an AIF vehicle you have to invest 1 crore and above. In a PMS you have to invest 50 lakh and above. And there are some features in a mutual fund which are beneficial. There are some future features in a PMS AIF which are very beneficial. So SEBI as a regulator has given us a fantastic product in the form of SIF, where we have been able to marry both the great features of a mutual fund with respect to taxation, expense ratios, with respect to flexibility. We get a lot of things from the PMS AIF with respect to how much risk can we take in the product. So basically, at the one end, a mutual fund can take a minimum investment of 100 rupees as an SIP also. On the other end, a PMS AIF requires a 50 lakh or a 1 crore investment. In SIF, you are allowed to invest when you start with a rupees 10 lakh. On the expense front, PMS and mutual funds are different. The SIF follows the expense ratios that you follow for a mutual fund. In a SIF, you are allowed a lot of unhedged derivatives, which is an added feature that we get from AIFs, right? And there is some investment in single issuer limits in debt, which is allowed up to 20% in SIFs. In mutual funds, it's allowed up to 10%. And in PMS, there is absolutely no limit to it. And in AF Cat 3, it is up to 10%. So these are the broad features of a SIF. Now, which are the specialized investment funds that we are launching as an AMC? First, we are launching Equity X Top 100 Long Short. And the second one is the Hybrid Long Short. I will come to that one later. Now, in the X Top 100 Long Short category, our focus is X Top 100 stocks, which are basically other than large caps, meaning it is a strategy led by investment in mid and small caps. The risk profile here, what we are aiming to give you is we are trying to limit the volatility, take out the volatile experience of being invested in mid and small caps across a cycle, which at a lot of times what happens is people, the behavioral tendency is to come in at a wrong time and go out at a wrong time. The strategy we will use here to do the allocation, as I was mentioning, at one end, when the model tells us that the market is looking very good, we can be fully invested in small and mid caps. At the other end, when the market tells us that the model tells us the market is overheated, we can be 0% invested in small and mid caps. That is the kind of leeway that we have coded into the fund. Maximum unhedged derivatives that we can do in this fund is up to 25%. What we are saying is there is a lot of liberal use of derivatives that are allowed in this fund, in this product itself. We are upfront coming and saying that as of now, we are not looking to do naked shorting of stocks because that requires a very different skill set, and in small and mid caps, it can give a very rather jerky investment experience to our investors and increase volatility. So we are not looking to do that as of now. Once we gain more confidence, we'll come and tell you that yes, we are ready to do it, or hum shorting bhi karenge isme, which is anyway enabled into the fund. अब आप कहेंगे कि एक्स टॉप 100 में डेरिवेटिव मार्केट कितनी बड़ी है, आप करोगे कैसे, whatever you are talking of, right? So here is some data that we have collated. Total open interest in futures is 5 lakh crore. In options is 2,34,000 crore. There are a total of 109 X top 100 stocks that are available in FNO. Of this market in futures and options, 32% in futures is in X top 100, 37% is in options in X top 100, which means there is enough and more leeway for you to, enough and more deep market for you to do whatever that I'm mentioning. And our market overview is 100% all the time. The only thing consistent we find here in the market is volatility. So as you can see the volatility, right? When you see a year like FY 2015, when a Nifty returns 30%, you see a mid cap returning 52.5 and a small cap returning 53.6. But the converse example is like a year in FY 20, where you see that Nifty has gone down by 25%, mid cap has gone down by 35%, but small caps went down by 45%. So on the way up, usually small and mid caps are relatively more volatile than large caps, and on the way down it does the same thing. So hence sharply it outperforms in up cycles, but it takes back most of the alpha that you have seen in down cycles. Now as a share of the market cap, if you look at a market capitalization as rupees 100, 36 used to be the share of market cap of small and mids, and now it has gone to 39% in the mix as on FY 2025. So this is what I was mentioning. Always, we have seen for at least small and mid caps, there is always a lot of euphoria which brings people into the fund at the wrong time, and you invest in the theme at a wrong time. And when things are looking absolutely bad, people absolutely give up on the investment, and they are probably shifting their money to large cap. And that is when actually it's the best time to actually enter into the fund. So the solution to volatility, we are talking of long short strategies. Here, what we are trying to do is we are trying to generate a returns across the cycle, no matter when the markets are rising or falling. When markets are rising, we will eventually trim our investment in small and mid caps. When the markets are falling, we will try to increase our investment in small and mid caps. That is what the model, we will follow the model that, and whatever the model tells us. The aim is to deploy a combination of strategies that help diversify the portfolio and have lower volatility. And so the philosophy here is to basically generate risk adjusted returns with lower volatility. That is what we are working towards. And the universe of investments is X top 100. It will invest in companies which are other than top 100 listed companies. So X of large caps, that will, the core will be X top 100 companies. The taxation that that this investment vehicle can offer you will be the exact same as that you see for a mutual fund vehicle. Now, if you ask me what will be the investment approach here, the fund will be built up with 65 to 100% in X top 100 stocks. 0 to 35% will be the range of investment that you can do in other than X top 100, which means large cap and debt. And there is a separate approval that we have taken for investing in units of InvITs as well. So here, when you earlier, what I mentioned was we can go all the way down to 0 when we think the market is extremely overheated. So when can we do that is basically, and how can we execute that is basically, we will do gross exposure of 65% and net it down to 0 using extensively derivatives contracts. Now the stock selection criteria in the fund, it can be a very diversified fund, it can be a very concentrated fund. There is absolutely no restriction on it. The maximum restriction, I think, is going to be that we can buy only up to 10% of our fund in one stock. Other than that, usually it can be a top-down or a bottom-up selection that we can do. There is no restriction on that. So here, as I was mentioning, when at the one end, when we are positive on the markets, we can be fully invested in small and mid caps. At the negative end, we can be 65% invested in small and mid caps, and we can hedge it down all the way to 0. So that is how the allocation can move, and it can be an aggressively allocated fund. Now you would want to understand how much experience do we have to do this in X top 100. So we have a research team which covers 550 companies across 27 sectors. Our exposure in mid caps is we own 113 stocks, more than 3% we own 17 stocks. In small caps, we have exposure to 326 companies. Of this, we own more than 3% in 69 companies. The total small and mid cap exposure that we have across our equity and hybrid schemes is 1,50,000 crore. Now, you would want to understand what are the kind of long short strategies that we are aiming to utilize here. Basically, they can be as simple as something called arbitrage. We can do covered calls, we can do protective puts, we can do shorting, straddle, strangle. All strategies are on the table. Um, these strategies, what we aim to do here is basically add very little risk to your experience and try to add a decent arbitrage return or a covered call return that we can add to the portfolio and improve the investor experience. So when I mentioned the model, right? So what is the model that we are employing in this case? So here the model says that first we are looking at valuations. Then we are looking at earnings revision. These are the fundamental indicators. Valuations, we are looking at the ratio of price to book of mid caps to large caps. The bigger the ratio, the more negative we get on the market. The smaller the ratio, the more positive we get on the market. Earnings revision, if we see small and mid caps earnings are looking better than large caps, we want to allocate more to small mid caps and the other way around. The technical indicator that we have coded into the model is market trend. We want to see how the short-term returns are performing versus longer-term returns. Here, I mean, what I say to people is why such an indicator is coded into a model, right? See, this is a more small and mid-cap strategy. So where we have to have some more technical indicators baked in. Otherwise, the maximum weight anyway goes to valuation in the equation. On macro focus factors, we have liquidity, which is the measure of liquidity in the system by RBI. A higher liquidity or trending liquidity going positive, it adds to your experience, and it adds to your it solves a lot of problems in the economy. The RBI and the government are trying to push growth. So hence, when there is a positive measure on liquidity, we are trying to allocate more to small mid caps and the other way around. Real effective exchange rate, a very potent tool that RBI publishes. It is the ratio of Indian currency to a basket of global currencies on a on a inflation adjusted basis. The cheaper the Indian currency, it is better for us to export. The more expensive the Indian currency, it becomes more expensive for us to export. All of these 5 indicators get together, and then they tell us how much do we need to allocate across 4 things: small cap, mid cap, large cap, and cash. Large caps we can do up to 0 to 35%. Mid and small caps we allocate up to 65% in the fund, and the rest is cash. Now, whatever I'm talking of, the model, it has been extensively back tested, and we are very encouraged by what we see in the back test. But in addition to what the model will do, is basically is when my role starts as a fund manager to start working on sector selection, stock selection. We will use derivative strategies such as which I mentioned: covered calls, protective puts, simple arbitrage, whatever FNO strategies are available and allowed by SEBI. There can be additional return that we can generate over and above simple T-bill returns that we can have in the fund. Then another thing that we want to do this year as a theme. So what we have seen, because we've been extremely cautious and disciplined in the last 4 years, we have seen a lot of individual mid and small cap stocks which have collapsed by a good 30-40%. Now, there are 2 types of stocks in this space, right? There are some stocks which we never liked, which we will never touch again. But there were some stocks which we liked on a valuation basis, but we were not buying it because, we liked on a fundamental basis, but we never touched it because of the valuation. So, अगर valuation अब हमारे favor में आ रही है, so then we are happy to selectively look at such names. So these will be the QIPs and IPOs and blocks that we can look at. So here, as I was mentioning, the minimum application amount is rupees 10 lakh and multiples of rupee 1. The SIPs that you can do on a monthly basis are rupees 10,000. The exit load applicable is exactly the same as a mutual fund at 1%. And investment strategies will be as I discussed with you all. Right. And let me introduce the hybrid long short fund. So as ICICI Prudential, I would definitely say that we are the clear leaders in hybrid strategies. And when we read what we were able to offer in this long short fund, we decided to launch this as a strategy. So basically, this strategy will have a mixture of what we do in how we allocate across equity and debt. The fund is again run by a model. The model is fundamental in nature and some technical indicators such as RSI. Now, just one second. So when we talk of what all are the indicators, yeah. So this is the model that we look at in this fund. So the model inputs are price to book, currency, real effective exchange rate, which we are using in our X top 100 model as well. There is earning yield versus bond yield, and there is RSI, which I mentioned. It is a technical indicator. This basically informs us how to look at the market and how to allocate between equity and debt. So a simple measure is if we find Nifty 50 price to book being under 3, we state that the market is undervalued and our net equity allocation is around 65 to 75%, which is around the maximum level. When we see the market is range bound at 3 to 3.7 times price to book on Nifty 50, we do net equity allocation of 25 to 65%. When we see the market being overvalued at about 3.7 price to book, we allocate as little as possible to equity at 0 to 25%. Here we are allowed to do minus 7.5% as naked shorts. Again, we are here saying that we are not looking to do that at this stage. However, that is something that we have on the table. So this is so here why hybrid as a theme, right? So when you see hybrid, when you see the markets, right, usually in the markets you do not see sudden full years that look good or look bad. So like a 2008 or 2011 are rarities, right? If you see a 2015, it's a rare moment when you see negative returns. But within the 1 year, when you see daily returns, there is enough and more volatility that can be eliminated by way of using this model that we have extensively backtested, and we can reduce the volatility of returns for you. Now, 91.5% of returns, what we have seen comes through asset allocation. The rest is security, selection of market and timing and others. So I think, yeah, stock selection criteria again in this fund, the same as what I was mentioning to you all for the X Top 100 fund. The goal is to generate risk-adjusted returns for the investor with low volatility. So it will be a mix of top-down and bottom-up strategies. It can be as concentrated and as diversified in the fund, basis the fund manager's outlook of the market at that time. So when I talked of the model, right? So the model is a brilliant counter-cyclical model, a contra model as we like to see it. And so at one end, when the markets are looking extremely low, like in December 2015 around, when you see the levels of market Nifty at 6987, the SIF allocation in the fund went maximum to 75% to equity. In after COVID as well, when the markets had completely crashed, the equity allocation went maximum. But as soon as the market then from a 98.59 level recovered to 18,210, then the model actually went minus 5% in equity. So that is exactly what we need to do. Just be counter-cyclical to reduce the volatility of the fund and enable a good risk-adjusted experience in the process. Now, just to explain a few of the simple strategies, right, with an arbitrage. So let's say I have a bank which is trading at rupees 1600 and the futures are priced at 1612. What arbitrage strategy I can do is I can buy the stock in cash and I can sell futures at 1612. When at expiry, both the prices will converge, you just simply earn rupees 12 as risk-free returns. When you talk of a covered call, it's a simple process again here, right? You have say 100 shares of a company at rupees 1000. You write one call option. One call is a lot of 100 shares with a strike price of 1050, and you receive a premium of 20 rupees. Now, what are the scenarios that can happen? If the stock falls to, let's say, 950, you lose 50 per share on the stock, but you keep the premium of 20, so your net loss is rupees 30. When the stock rises to 1050, the stock has gained 50 rupees. So basically, 50 rupees is your gain, and at the same time, 20 rupees is the premium that you earn from the process. But if the stock rises to, let's say, 1100, then you will have to sell because the person who has bought the call from you buys it at 1050. But you cap your upside here, but you still gain 50 plus 20. So 70 rupees is what you gain in the process. So these are the kind of strategies that we can simply use to create maximum returns in addition to a allocation strategy and a stock picking and stock selection strategy. So here again, alpha generation strategies will be sector and stock selection. There'll be derivative strategies. There'll be debt strategies which can generate higher carry. And at the same time, we will look here also at capital market opportunities, which is participating in IPOs, QIPs, blocks, buybacks, etc. Whatever is permitted by the SEBI. So in summary, we have a team of 70 analysts and fund managers. It is, I think, the largest team on street by a margin. We have under coverage 650 plus companies across 24 sectors. Our experience of managing derivatives in our mutual fund schemes in the limited way that we can apply derivatives in our schemes is around rupees 60,000 crore. So yeah, this is one of the dynamic asset allocation schemes that we run in our mutual fund space, where we have exposure in equity ranging from 30 to 80%. So this is exactly again a counter-cyclical model that you experience, and which is what you see in the mutual fund space. So just to mention again, in the hybrid long short fund as well, you have mutual fund taxation similar to exactly the same as what you pay for when you own or sell a mutual fund. Short term is 20%, and long term, when you hold a security for more than 12 months, it's a 12.5% taxation. And the ex top 100 fund, as I was mentioning earlier, Naren sir is the lead fund manager. He's the senior fund manager along with Divya and I. In the hybrid long short fund, it will be managed by Rajat and Ayush. Rajat also manages our hybrid strategy in the mutual fund, which is the Balance Advantage Fund for around more than 10 years now. The debt strategies will be managed by Mr. Manish Bantia and Akhil Kakkar. And the features are same, 10 lakh rupees of investment. First is what you have to start with in the fund. You can do SIPs thereafter of rupees 10,000. You can do lump sum of 10 lakh, and then you can do SIPs. The redemption frequency here is Monday and Wednesday in every week. In the X Top 100 fund, you can redeem on every days of the week. The exit load here also is 1% of the net asset value for 1 year. So yeah, this is, I mean, these are all operational slides. The risk band again is the highest risk that that is possible. So happy to take questions.
Thank you, Manan. Thanks for sharing such a great insight. I think you have covered most of the part. So I would just to inform all the participants that minimum amount is 10 lakh rupees in SIP. एंड जैसा अभी मनन ने आपको बताया कि यहाँ पे आप लोग रिडम्पशन जो है, सो दैट इज अगेन अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट. अगर आप हाइब्रिड में रिडम्पशन करना चाह रहे हैं, सो रिडम्पशन वुड बी ट्वाइस अ वीक, मंडे एंड वेनसडे. सो दैट इज वन ऑफ द इम्पॉर्टेंट पार्ट. एंड एक्स टॉप 100 में अगर आप परचेस करना चाह रहे हैं, परचेस दोनों में आप कभी भी कर सकते हैं. रिडम्पशन इज द ओनली थिंग विच यू हैव टू लुक एट. एक्स टॉप 100 में यू कैन रिडीम इट एनी टाइम. एंड आई वुड sorry, so I would request all the participants, आपका कोई भी क्वेश्चन हो, kindly write it in the chat box. Definitely we'll take it from there. If you are watching it from the YouTube, kindly again write it in the chat box, your queries. We'll take it from there. So few questions, Manan, like अभी काफ़ी चीज़ें हैं, मतलब a product wherein derivative is also there, काफ़ी चीज़ें हैं, strategies हम use कर रहे हैं. So अगर as a customer हमको कुछ expectation रखनी है, so what expectation we should keep in both the products?
So, see, Devakar, what we are trying to basically do is not create a bumpy experience for the investor. हमें अचानक वाले झटके नहीं देने हैं कि अचानक से फंड में कुछ लॉस हो गया, बहुत शार्प प्रॉफिट हो गया. So what we are doing is हम aggressive allocation करेंगे. At one end, when we are extremely bullish, fully invested into small and mid caps. At the other end, when we are extremely bearish, we can do 0% small and mid caps. So that is our way of offering a hybrid experience while investing in small and mid cap space. Let me put it that way. What you should experience is risk adjusted returns with lower volatility. That is what we are delivering. And it will ensure that this becomes a fill it, shut it, forget it fund for all of your mid and small cap requirements. It will reduce your behavioral tendencies of coming in at the wrong time and leaving at the wrong time. See, we'll take out the problem of coming in at the wrong time, because if we think the market is or the model is telling us that the market is extremely overheated today, तो हमारा फंड ही बहुत कैश में होगा. So then when the market starts correcting like what we are seeing now at a broader level, we will then gradually start investing into small and mid caps. So that is how we are trying to reduce the problem of coming in at the wrong time. And going out at the wrong time usually will not happen क्योंकि हम बहुत ही bumpy experience नहीं देने का कोशिश कर रहे हैं in this fund. So that is what we are solving, because small and mid caps, it's not a, I mean, there is the only issue that we see in this asset class is coming in at the wrong time and going out at the wrong time.
गेटिंग. ठीक है, यहाँ पे अगर हम टाइम, जैसे कि यू आर सेइंग लाइक कमिंग एट द रॉन्ग टाइम, गोइंग एट द रॉन्ग टाइम, सो यहाँ पे व्हाट होराइजन द कस्टमर शुड कीप इन माइंड. सो जैसे कि लगता है ना कि इसमें डेरिवेटिव भी यूज कर रहे हैं, एक्सपायरी वुड बी लाइक शॉर्ट टर्म रहती है. सो व्हाट शुड बी द होराइजन विच लाइक टू डिफरेंट प्रोडक्ट्स वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. सो कौन सा प्रोडक्ट किस सेट ऑफ कस्टमर्स के लिए काफी अच्छा रहेगा, एंड व्हाट होराइजन दे शुड कीप इन माइंड सो दैट दे विल बी अवेयर कि हाँ, दिस इज अ प्रोडक्ट विच आई कैन गो फॉर, इट इज लाइक सूटिंग माई क्राइटेरिया.
Correct. See, whenever there is an allocation that you have to do for small and mid caps, so as an investor, and when you're trying to grow your long term wealth, you will always have some allocation जो आप करेंगे small mid cap में. तो आपका जो भी small mid cap का पैसा है वो इस आप X top 100 fund में डाल सकते हैं. What we are going to remove is the problem of coming in at the wrong time, going out at the wrong time. We are happy to take lump sum at any point of time. The tenor that we want you to be invested is, let me put it that way, एक cycle के लिए रुकिए. एक cycle क्या होती है? When things are looking extremely bullish, things are going up meaningfully, then they crash, and then they start recovering again. So that is, let's say one cycle is that way. Let's see through a bad cycle, come up, and then you will see the true experience or power of compounding returns at that point.
Correct.
Generally a cycle, because now you want to ask me, okay, what is the exact time period? I gave a broader answer, ke cycle, but the better answer to it will be, let's say cycle generally comes in a 3 to 5 year period. So let's say 3 to 5 years is a good time frame to stay invested patiently in this strategy to end up making money.
Okay, so I would like to reiterate, like 3 to 5 years is the minimum horizon. अगर आप participate कर रहे हैं इस investment में, definitely ये horizon तो आपको रखना चाहिए आपके mind में, so that we'll see will be having good experience. So that is
Correct.
the one.
That's fair. And for the hybrid fund, so hybrid long short is a aggressive hybrid strategy. Let me put it that way. So anybody who wants to put money at some point of time in the market, a broader market, this will be more market-led strategy that we are talking of, not just small and mid cap. So in that strategy, you will be doing a toggle between equity and debt in a more aggressive manner, because यहाँ पे हम allocation क्या करेंगे? We will do at one end 0% equity. We can do minus 7.5 to all the way up to 75. So that's the range of equity allocation we can do in the fund. So basically in this process, we are trying to again smooth out the volatility that you experience in the market and generate a good risk adjusted return in the process.
Okay. So one more thing, Manan. So like how effectively we can reduce the drawdown. So normally, जैसे कि this category is not there in the mutual fund, small and mid cap. So
Correct.
that is the one advantage, like people are looking at the SIF wherein they wanted to participate in mid and small cap. So what risk we can see here, and what all the advantages are there under this category?
See, ultimately, it is a small and mid cap led strategy. So it's a X top 100 strategy. Let me put it that way. What you should, I mean, the risks are similar to investing in small and mid cap, but we are reducing the volatility in the process by doing aggressive allocation in the market. So at one end, we will be, I mean, let's say if the market looks extremely overheated, तो आपका fund एकदम 90% cash में बैठा होगा. You will not have any exposure at that end to small and mid caps. So basically, I mean, at that point, we will wait for markets to probably correct. And that is when our equity exposure in small and mid caps will go up. And at the same time, if we find large caps are looking good, so top 100 is looking good, then the allocation can be up to 35% in large caps as well.
Okay. Great. Okay, so few important things again which would like to tell to the customers, like आप अगर invest करना चाह रहे हैं हमारे product ISEF में and सिर्फ product में, so basically you can go to our app, that is Invest Right app, जहाँ पे आप search करते हैं scheme का नाम, so you will be able to see that scheme and you can invest there directly from our app. We have our new IR web portal, काफ़ी enhanced है वो. So if you'll go there, there is a particular SIF section जहाँ पे आप जाएंगे, so वहाँ पे you'll be able to see the current NFO as well as the existing SIFs जहाँ से आप invest कर सकते हैं. Apart from that, if you would like to connect with our relationship manager, definitely connect with them. They'll help you to invest in this product. And few more things, like अगर आपने 10 lakhs invest किया है and अगर Manan, you can just chip in if required. So I'll just inform few things which is important to them. So अगर आपने 10 लाख का इन्वेस्टमेंट किया है एंड बिकॉज ऑफ मार्केट अगर वो 9 लाख हो जाता है, सो यू नीड नॉट टू इन्वेस्ट एनी मोर अमाउंट इन दैट. आपका पैसिव, इसको हम पैसिव ब्रीच बोलते हैं, करेक्ट मनन? दिस पैसिव
That's
ब्रीच.
correct. Absolutely
सो
correct. Absolutely
यहाँ
correct.
पैसिव ब्रीच होता है, सो आपको कुछ एक्स्ट्रा पैसा डालने की जरूरत नहीं है. यू कैन जस्ट वेट देयर. इफ यू वांट टू रिडीम, सो यू हैव टू रिडीम फुल्ली. अनदर सिनेरियो, अगर आपने 10 लाख इन्वेस्ट किया है, 10 लाख का अगर 12 लाख हो जाता है, सो यू कैन विड्रॉ अप टू 2 लाख रुपीज. 10 lakh has to be there in the with the AMC.
That's correct. That's correct.
So partial amount you can redeem, but 10 lakhs has to be there. But अगर आपको redeem करना है, अगर आपकी value हो गई 12 lakh rupees and आपको redeem करना 5 lakh rupees, you cannot do that. Either you can redeem full or 2 lakh rupees you can do. So this is the important factor which you should keep in mind. And definitely this is like too early to talk about redemption, because हम horizon जो बोल रहे हैं that is 3 to 5 years. So to have a good experience, I think that is the horizon which everybody should keep in mind, and we can see we can have a good experience over here. So I think Manan, we have covered most of the things. Anything which you want to add more here, or we can conclude this?
No, just that we are very excited about both these strategies, and especially given Naren sir has been so fantastic in giving out his calls on mid and small caps. And वो क्या होते हैं ना, वो उस time पे appreciate नहीं होते हैं. Because like what you saw around a year and a half back, Naren sir had given a very bold call on small and mid caps that we should be negative on the market at that point. So people usually start giving us brickbats instead of appreciation. वो appreciation lag में आती है. So what we are trying to do is almost codify Naren sir's calls into this model, and then be a fund manager, do your stock sector allocation, do aggressive derivatives to generate added returns for the fund, and create a low volatility and good risk adjusted return experience for the investor in this fund. And that is why Naren sir himself wants to run this fund right now, because he's saying that I want to make a mark also.
Okay.
By doing this.
Great.
And in the hybrid long short fund, Rajat has extensive experience of running hybrids as a strategy. And we are, this can be a this is an aggressive version of a hybrid fund with a long short facility. So it can take care of your equity requirements, and the X top 100 fund can take care of all your mid and small cap requirements.
Yeah,
so that's how we are trying to cover the market with these strategies.
Great. One more important thing, like this is the NFO, so this is the 30th Jan is the last date for this NFO. So if you want to participate during the NFO, definitely you can, like before that you can invest in that. So thank you all the participants for taking out the time. I think we got a good insight from Manan, and this will help us, and this will help us for the investment. So thank you, Manan, and thank you everyone.
Thanks, Divakar.